if not, then that's fine. Then February 16th is cool.
Like I said, I haven't even put it together fully yet. So
When
I
you
have to
how do
put it
I
out
how do
there in
I
October.
maximize it on my end? How do
You're
I?
good right there.
This is as big as it gets.
Yeah, I mean, I was if I have to lower myself, yeah. Um,
No, it's not a problem. I
because
wanted to see it full screen, but if it's not, that's cool. That's cool.
okay, okay, okay. And all right, we are live, folks. So this is episode 100. Believe it or not, I can't believe I reached 100. But yeah, and Julius here has been kind enough to offer to interview me, and I think it's very nice of him. I appreciate that. Thank you again for this.
Oh no, sir. I'm the one that should thank you because I'm nobody in this community, man. I'm just a kid from Tondo, Bulacan, and Batangas. Who the hell am I? Nobody.
Well,
Then I grew
I
up.
feel
Then the
same.
rest of my life is here in America, everywhere in the
Well,
U.S.
well, same here. I'm a student at heart, so I don't consider myself anybody special either. So, um, but if you're watching, tell us where you're watching from. And Julius here has some questions for me. I did get some questions in from 2 or 3 people. So this is going to be, I think this is going to be enjoyable. So, all right, I'm ready. If you're ready.
Before we start with the formalities of this particular interview, the main thing that we're gonna ask is what is your inspiration for the show? One, and what are your plans for in the both in the immediate and the far future?
So my inspiration was, and this is where I had to give, full credit to, Dwight Woods. Dwight Woods, if people don't know, runs a JKD podcast. Very runs it very well. Um, and I was very fortunate. Burton Richardson asked him to interview me what I was doing for the kids comedy program, and I was so humbled and honored that he chose to interview me. And that when it got done, this is going back like a year and 4 months or so. I just enjoyed it, not so much for being interviewed, but from the perspective of what he was doing.
Interview, the main thing
I
that
found it really neat and just interested. And the other thing is, I wanted to give people a chance to be heard that maybe didn't have a big name, what have you. At the same time, coincidentally, there was really nothing going on as far as and a voice in FMA. So with all that being said, I kind of figured, wow, this might be a good opportunity to get people to be heard, and all this, give us a voice, and we could collectively talk about things and all that. And so I did go to Dwight Woods because I wanted his blessing. If he didn't, I would have never, because I felt he was a pioneer and he deserved that respect to be asked first, which I did. And he said, go for it. And my first episode was end of October of 2019 and still going. My future goals is I like to get, and it's kind of hard because right now, obviously what we got going on as far as COVID, but I would like to get more live oriented where I'm actually fun with a person. That's my goal. More, single interviews, with guests, but I want to get more like, a couple at a time. I started doing that already. Also want to get more theme oriented, like somebody to talk about like sparring, somebody to talk about like attribute development, somebody to talk about, stuff like, specific stuff. Still interview people for their journeys and all that. I definitely will never get away from that. So those are some of the, my some of the future. And everything's been going really well thus far. You know what I mean. I just hit over 500 subscribers in a year. It's not world, record breaking, but it's growing slowly but steadily. Never had a guest walk off. Nothing negative. Um, the challenges have been some of the politics. You know what I mean? Like, there's people that I would like to get on, but I'm not sure because they might have some issues with some of my instructors. That's so the kind of crossfire I'm caught in. Do I serve the audience or do I also have to have allegiance and also be mindful and respectful of my teachers? And I think what's going to happen, I'm just going to have to go to my teachers and just say, hey, look, people are asking me to interview this person. I really want how you feel. That might be the solution. I don't know. But that's really been the only challenge, thus far, and other time trying to get as many people on. So, yeah, but so that's been, pretty much it, all that, my future challenges and inspiration.
I like that. And so, am I getting interference? No.
No, no.
Um. So the main thing is, as you start different people that you interview from FMA discussion, you got to ask that first question, like, how did you get your start in FMA?
So that goes back to my first exposure was when UFC came out in '93. I saw it, so I was really going from an MMA lens. So the first school I went to was Franco, but he offered FMA. So I went down there seeking MMA, but when I saw what he was doing as far as FMA, I immediately switched gears and I went into his Kung Tao class as FMA and all that. And it's been kind of history ever since then. So he was definitely my first exposure and all that, and that was my first stop. You know, I'm still in touch with him. Actually, I had him on the show like a month or so ago, featuring his TFW weapons. You know, so that was my first stop, and it was history ever since.
So indirectly, it's just you have to thank the Gracies.
Was that? I'm sorry.
You have to thank the Gracies for getting you to,
Yeah.
Filipino.
How ironic! Like I went down there thinking, it's because I saw it on the UFC, but in reality, when I saw that, I still did MMA, of course, and all that, but I really, it was FMA really the direction I went into.
What's the primary styles that you practice now?
You know, um, so I'm primarily doing, like, it's been tough with what's going on with, um, COVID, but so it's been a lot of individual training. I'm still getting with partners, so I still in Lameco, KI, as far as practice. I'm trying to develop, knife grappling from various positions. So that's been of late. But again, everything's kind of been hit or miss because of COVID. You know what I mean? I can get with partners, I can, but you got to be careful. Like going like actually he's on here right now. John Cuspis. Like I was going to Rhode Island, but then COVID. It's been tough. You know what I mean? Like had to kind of cancel a couple seminars, but overall, as far as individual practice and when I can get with people, really heavily on attribute developments of Lameco, KI, and all that. Burton stuff, Amok, Tom Sawyer stuff, all that.
So next one is, what do you know about Bladesmith work? Because you were talking about behind you, you could see traditional
Yeah,
Filipino weapons of Kazakowski, right? This company. So tell me
yeah,
about it.
yeah, yeah.
So
So one of my goals, actually, I would love to get like an authentic bladesmith on here. Somebody who really, right from scratch, from the Philippines or here. You know what I mean? I think that'd be really neat to get on this show. Me personally, I have zero experience and knowledge, but that's what really why I would like to get somebody on here. And one, not to, obviously education for me, but also for the community, maybe those who don't know, or know as very little as I do.
yeah, I'm looking forward to you going all forged in fire. Like this will kill. Know what I'm saying? I'm not making fun of no, don't get it wrong. I'm not making fun of
No, I know. Oh yeah, I got you.
um where do you train in Connecticut?
Where?
Mhm.
So years back I had my own school. I sold it. Just things were just I had twins, and you just one thing after another. Not, I mean the school was still going great, all that, but it was just really taking a lot. from the personal life at at night and home. So, but current status quo, before COVID, it was Keith Marsh, so Torrington Family Kempo. I've been teaching out of there, and hopefully we'll get back once this miserable mess ends, all that. And so I basically a group class there, a little of everything, burdens programs, what else? Abney or Kalis, a little of everything. But again, everything's just, on hold. My private, I'm still doing my privates. Um, because I get, it's just one on one with a person and all that. But as far as the group classes, it's just been tough. So everything's just, as far as that is concerned, unfortunately, has been put on hold. You know.
So you talk about you had twins. I'm gonna kind of short segue here. I do have the list of questions I'm asking you, but how do you go
Yeah, yeah,
about
yeah.
training your kids, man? How do you like kind of indoctrinate them, like brainwash them, like you got to do this daddy ninja stuff by them?
You know, um, my daughter is really, really into it. My son, he does it too, but I think he'll like his interest will develop. Maybe later than sooner. I hope my daughter is really into it. She's, when then again this unfortunate mess. I had a kids group class, because I'm really, really strong behind that, getting the kids involved. So I was teaching kids class, of course, not anymore, but my kids were in that. They were doing well. But my daughter has taken it up a notch. She's really training with me solo. She's getting into some of the sword stuff, not knifey. Not holding knife out. You know what I mean? So with the soft sticks and trainers, some swords and sword movements, differentiating sword and stick. I do a lot of hand engagement with her and all that. And so I'm going to keep just giving to her. I'm not one of those types that want lives vicariously through my kids. If when she wants it, I'm right there, to do it. But at the same time, I'm reluctant to pressure. You know what I mean? So because I want this to be like a pleasant experience, not like a burden. You know.
Yeah, because there's a sweet spot of um what ends up happening is when you force them, they don't want to do it. Like what ends up happening is they end up hating it.
Yeah, and it's not fun for it's not fun for anybody. you know?
Right. So
Who we got here? John, Amon, Cody, Chad, John Rister. All right.
So this is a side segue that I got this from because a couple people asked me. So number five is how can you oh, sorry, can you recommend a top training program either through distance learning, Vimeo, video on demand, or DVD? Um, we should, yeah, yep, we should talk
Okay.
about that just because of the very nature that we're cooped in the house and it's quarantine and it's like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I mean it's definitely it's definitely relevant. I think there's some really great stuff going on out there that people are doing. You know what I mean? In lieu of what's going on, and I think Burton's got some great programs. You definitely going to need to get a partner on some of it. Tom Sotis from Huck, he is doing Zoom if you want to get a hold of him. Highly recommend him. Um, Brandon Ricketts, Vico Perrine, guys who I'm going to talk about when we talk about our my instructors. They're doing stuff. If you want to get a KI training, here's the thing. Zoom is really coming to play because of the obvious. But I'm going to tell you something. It's not going away after this. You know what I mean? I think it's going to be a permanent tool and a vehicle to get information, supplemental, main drive, however you want to put it, but it's not going away after this. And I think it's very useful if obviously, yes, you have to go before the person and all that, and absolutely. However, though, in times like this, and to supplement your learning curve, I think it's absolutely fantastic. You know what I mean? And if you have the bigger the background and the more experience you have, I think it's even better. If you're new, I think it's good, lack of anything else, of course, but you're really going to want to get in front of a person. I think the more experience you have, the more time you have in front of people, I think it's easier to discern, discriminate, take what you like, all that. But I think it's, those are some of the guys I think are offering really good stuff. A good program I highly recommend Steve Grody's Night program, Cognitive, and the rest of the name escapes me now. I mean, on Vimeo. I think it's like $100. It's a two-part program. I got it. And highly recommend that. So those are just some of the people that I've seen and all that I would recommend.
Okay. How have you planned to grow old with FMA? Because that's a common thing you see. A lot of these GMs like 90 and they're like Yoda, man. And what changes in training and diet have you incorporated over the years to address this?
Well, I think here's the thing. To me, you got to keep going. You know what I mean? So, and you have to be proactive. Like, I go to the gym a couple times. Like, I've had multiple injuries. Like, I've had 9 knee injuries, and I had a left hip replacement. So I could just easily just sit there and say, man, I'm done. I'm going to take up golf or whatever. So you have to be proactive. Like, you have to, like, whether you're doing supplemental stuff, whether you're in the gym, just, strengthening. If you had injury, which I do for my legs, I have to. It's not even an option. If I want to continue to do this, I have to be in the gym. Um, I do a lot of band work, for resistance training, a lot of solo training, and I'm able to still get with people half my age and do. But again, I've chosen to be very proactive in this and all that. Now, does that mean I'm out there doing double leg takedowns and sprawls? That's something I have to be like really careful about. So I kind of regiment my training around just being careful of that. And with that, as far as diet, I'm definitely going to more lean proteins, good carbs, for endurance, energy, like that, kind of staying away from the really fatty stuff. And of course, the most toxic can't sugar. You know what I mean? Like, really careful of the sugar intake.
Okay, and the next one is what range do you favor? So obviously we're gonna X out ballistics and like further horizon range, because that was included in
Yeah.
military arts back in the day. We're just talking about engagement with the blade, like largo, medio, corto,
Sure.
like
Yeah.
yeah. So
I like them all. Um, if I had to pick one, I would say long range, because I think that's where you really have to, your speed, your timing, your accuracy, your non-telegraphic. I mean, those, and I'm a huge fan of attribute development. So I would definitely favor the long range. However, you have to know the range. You got to know that's a blocking range or a deflecting range. Close range, hands on. Clinch depending on the weapon. And I mean, well, actually, I shouldn't say depending on the weapon. That's gonna be regardless. If you're put there, you're put there. Um, and all that. Matter of fact, there was an interesting conversation and FMA discussion regarding Alvin, the guy, the MMA guy that I just interviewed in the Philippines about stick grappling. And the thing about it is, people say something. You know what? I'm telling you, you get somebody that bridges that gap really close on a roof block. You know what? You might not have a choice but to be in stick grappling range, whether you like it or not. I
absolutely.
mean, I just, it's like, I was fortunate enough to train with Mark Denny, and Burton's program is essentially his stick program is dog. I mean, Burton was a dog brother. So that's highly in there, that stick clinch and stick grappling. I mean, it's great stuff. I mean, the older you get, you
I
get
hope I'm
better.
not getting his name wrong, but I remember Chris Pirelli. I believe he was a former Army Ranger. He was trained under Cagnetti.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah,
The name sounds familiar, though I don't know much about him. But then I've heard the name before, you know. Um, but you have to. In other words, I guess long short answer first. You have to. You got to play with it all. I mean, if you're advocating FMA and you're a teacher, I mean, you have. I mean, now, does that mean I favor one? That's okay, sure, but you better be fluent and understand. Um, that you got to experiment. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, if a student comes up to you and say, "Well, what do you do if somebody comes on the roof block and they put the stick behind your back and they're trying to do a cowboy walk and take you down?" Well, you might want to.
You might
It's a
want to know
huge
a thing or
stick.
two.
I mean, you might want to know about that. Or if they get you an underhook or overhook, and they're thrusting you and they're going overhook. I mean, you gotta, or they get you on the ground, they're trying to put a fang choke on you, or whatever. I mean, you gotta know. Or they're hitting at your legs. Do you leave your legs in front of the person? Well, I'm gonna tell you something. Your legs are gonna get so beat up so badly. So you know what you'll do, and it seems counterintuitive, you'll actually turn to the side so you can get roof and plumb. I mean, depending on what you call a reverse roof block. I mean, it's just, but how do you know this? Until you get in those waters,
Right.
you know?
Right.
So,
Chris, yeah.
definitely,
I want to correct myself. Christopher Petrelli is his name. Yeah, might want to ask him a thing or two about
definitely,
that.
definitely. Paulo's got a question. What were you like back in the day when you first started? No, actually, very far from it. I was actually even shyer than now and quiet, very reserved. Um, just lacking confidence. Just, but though generally, obviously enticed by this and wanted more and more, but very low key. Yeah. If you would ask me back then, would I be doing this now? And would I be teaching, having a show? I would have laughed. Yeah.
It's funny because you just kind of answered the next question actually.
Oh, which
The
is,
how often do you well, not really, but it ties into it. How often do you practice ground knife or ground stick in your training? Can you give like percentage
I
numbers?
used to do a lot of ground stick because when I was doing underburden stuff, I haven't done it now because of just COVID. But what I've been doing, focusing on a lot because, in other words, here's what it is. FMA guys, okay, they'll appreciate, okay, yeah, stick grab and all that. But guys, some of my training partners are not FMA guys. They're grapplers, actually. But what they do appreciate and what I can get them involved in is the knife. Because everybody has an appreciation for the danger of knife. You know what I mean? So as of late, been doing a lot of knife grappling. And my guy here who's on here, John Kuskas, but I haven't seen as of late, unfortunately, do this mess. And a matter of fact, just last weekend I did. My old training partner came by, and all that. So more so on the knife grappling as of late. One due to circumstances, and it's just so relevant. You know what I mean with today.
Um, how often do you practice the trapping range? Do you train long range with a billiard stick or staff?
Trapping range, I do, in my JKD, I do have certification in JKD. Sadly, I kind of put it on the shelf when I saw FMA. So, as far as like Wing Chun, like kind of Pak Sao, Lop Sao, all that, hence, I mean, I'm not the person to teach anymore. You know what I mean? However, though, in the trapping range, as far as, but I still do like, like in other words, as far as a knife, offensively, if you get in there to see clamping, I mean, like more the FMA kind of trapping, you know what I mean? So definitely when it's there and applicable, I don't, it's one of those things I don't look for if it comes up, just kind of like that. One of the area that I do need to work on, admittedly so, and I mean, I played around with, of course, I just staff. Like I've done some of it, but out of all the like weapons in FMA, that's probably where I've the least working, to be honest.
You never know when that broomstick or billiard stick could come in handy. We never know.
Yeah, I totally agree. So that's something I would like to absolutely need to incorporate more.
Are you more stick based or blade based? And what other
Blade,
MA systems do you incorporate with your FMA?
blade. I mean, yes, I do stick. I appreciate it. I like it. It's not my favorite weapon. By far, knife is. That's where I put the most time and all that. I'm enthralled by, Espadilla dagger, Punji dagger, depending on system. I love that, the complexity and all that, and how it's just infinite. But definitely a blade guy, especially knife, because it's just so relevant today. It's what I'm gonna. If I, God forbid, if I did get attacked, that's probably, that's what, as far as the statistically speaking, um,
Dean,
what else?
I gotta pause you for a second. I gotta pause you for a second. I was like, That Eastern Seaboard Marvin Hagler is gonna coming out of your accent, bruh.
He's
Cause
Brockton, Mass, right?
yeah,
Brockton,
yeah, yeah.
Mass.
Cause he was like, "This Marvin Spine hide for 15 rounds." It came out. It came out because you were like, "It's Friday Durger."
Yeah, it's party Digger. Yeah,
Yeah,
you know.
and then you like Sonya becomes Sonya.
But
It's
but as
just a
far as
joke, man. It's just a joke.
oh my god, yeah, yeah. Oh, god, I'm pretty easy. As far as what other arts I incorporate, something I've been doing. It's probably I don't know if it's been up to a year now. Piper system, just the system, just fascinated with. It's just so unique and different. I mean, I'm not saying the wheel's been reinvented, so I don't want to get that misconstrued. But just their approach, ambush criminal system. So I'm trying to extract, some of the bigger fake. I mean, because it's very big movements. They're on their toes. That weightless fall into people. This is an ambush system. So I'm trying to extract things from there. As far as FMA, with obviously Coach Lloyd's permission
I
and
actually
all
believe
that.
a lot of that methodology, and let me explain why. As from my own thing, a lot of the best
Sure.
knife fighting systems in the Philippines aren't formal FMA. Really, it's like prison systems, like New Bilibid
Mm-hmm.
prison. That's where you'll see like the best knife fighters. You know what I mean? And then you guys
And
incorporated the drop step. It's almost like a Dempsey drop step. It increases the power of the strike, right?
yeah, well, you're picking. So in other words, you're kind of picking when they're
Right.
coming in on their hand. I mean, just really. I mean, just like yeah. So definitely that. Um, like empty hand against knife. Like I don't really do a lot of FMA empty, as far as empty hand. Like I do have an aspect of the U drill to get your 2-on-1, where you're kind of preserving your center mass. So you could definitely say that I def from the U drill, for sure. But it's more, just levers from, just understanding levers from grappling and all that. Because again, when I get to, I'm going to lose, my two of my main training partners are pure grapplers. You know what I mean? So it really,
So
hence,
they like Habib, huh? They like Sambo, huh? They like a um um
BJJ and
I will
wrestling.
smash, smish.
But I mean, but one of them, I mean, both of them are known in, I mean, widely known in Connecticut for. So I mean, these are not chumps. So
Um, how do you want to be remembered by the FMA community? I mean, it's because look, and this is just for me. I don't know the people out here like listening to your thing,
mm,
but the FMA discussion is like the FMA Stephen K. Dow's FMA Digest, but in video form for like the 2020s. That's what it is, Clem.
yeah. So what remembered for? Well, just one. I represented with integrity. I tried to promote the arts. I tried to bring unity within the community. I try to push the agenda, how we need to get our youth involved, our kids. Respect, gratitude towards my teachers. Try to emulate them. Try to, just everything along those lines, and also the stilling of students. Like and really, something I'm going to bring up. I'm sure with the other questions I received. That really instilling to this student that you are the most important part of like the journey, not the system, not the teacher. And I instill that in my students. Whatever I tell them, say, look, you should check this out. I mean, don't take my word for it. I try to expose them. I also instill in them like you should check out other people. You should do this. Never that kind of like cornering them and trying to covet them. So all when all said and done, those are things that I would like to be remembered for as far as the community.
Cool. You know what, man? It's so weird. We went by this so quick. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm on question 12 already, man. Um, are you going to write an FMA
No,
book
but
or?
I got a ton of stuff.
No, no,
I
I
got a
know,
ton of
I know, I
stuff.
know that. 'Cause, obviously, because that's what I was trying to do is trying to do it so that we can get to
Oh
the
yeah,
other ones.
yeah.
Are you going to write an FMA book or video lesson? I'm saying for the main ones, it's like we got through them really quick.
Yeah, it's funny you just brought that up because it's something I need to talk to Bert now. And I have, oh my God, how ironic. Um, one of, before I did Bird's program, Dan Against Knife, when I met him, there were so much similarities what I was doing, what he was doing, and basically what it revolved around was 2-on-1. Not playing, like not doing anything defensive speaking, where you're defending but you're not stopping. And we just had a lot of just similarities. He just happens to have a much bigger name than me. So, but one of the smartest things I ever did, so people can't say so from as I put it on DVD, my 2-on-1. This is going back to 2000 and
Illuminati, bruh.
yeah, yeah, I know. 2000 and early 2000s. My training partners are on there and all that. Not to sell, not to, but I just wanted it where like, hey, I got it right here. It's on DVD. It's dated. This is what I did. And all that. And Burton knows. Like and all that. So so where I'm leaning to, as far as that goes, is that one of the things again, which I alluded to, that I spent a lot of time on, or the most time on, I should say, empty hand against knife and all that. What I think, and this is just like, man, this is really a rough outline. But before I go any further, I have to talk to a couple of teachers, Tom Sotis, my UMUC teacher, and Burton. And one of the things I'm thinking is empty hand against knife, like a book. Just something like that. But Burton would be such a big component of it, as well as methodology and context from Tom Sotis. So I would need to talk to them first, get their blessings, and hopefully the three of us could maybe do, but I would never do anything without talking to them or getting their blessings. This is the outline. uh, so I have all the chapters. Problem is, I can't get picks because it's been tough to get picks because of the obvious situation. But next time I talk to Burton, which is in a couple weeks, every time I talk to him, I don't get to talk to him long, and it's usually like I got like 10 things running by him. And but at any rate, when I talk to him next, I'm going to run that by him, and he's usually been so accommodating to me and encouraging of me. I'm not anticipating a no unless he's got something going already.
I do have my own personal question about Burton, but I think
Sure.
it's more apt to do the 13th question as one that you wanted to address. I was like, how apt, the unlucky number 13 or whatever. That's the one I want you wanted to talk about, was what are the challenges of the show, and that one particular thing that you got to talk about, bruh. So the floor is yours. So go ahead.
So are we? So is this regarding my teachers or the challenges of the show?
You said that was the topic that you wanted the most addressed, was like the challenges of the show. You
Yeah, yeah, no. Which I mean, like, and I kind of the one challenge when I brought up about like what was when we were first question about the inspiration of my show and all that. The challenge, being is that there, like, there's some people that I've been asked to have on. And I'm not gonna, obviously I'm not gonna just say their names on here right now. I mean, but the relevance is that, and it's only
Everybody and
been
their mama know, bruh. It's cool. Just don't say it, but everybody and their mama know, right?
it's only been a few people, but like people that have like at one point or another have had conflicts with a couple of my teachers. So the difficult position has been for me is okay. Well, if I'm serving the audience, I should bring on who the audience is requesting. The flip side of that is I also extremely have loyalty, respect for my teachers. So I haven't brought them on, and it's only a couple, thank God. Like this is not like a major problem or a very frequent problem. I mean, thank goodness. So I think what the end result's going to be is I'm going to have to just like go to my teachers and just, but I'll cover that. But thank God, like again, it's hasn't been a big problem. It's just a couple names thus far and all that. So that's
So
that.
my just one personal question is, Byrne has done a lot for FMA in America. I guess for the world too. I just wanted to know what his background was. Is he an island boy? Is he from Hawaii?
No, Burton's from actually suburb in Los Angeles. Starts with a C, and of course Carson. Carson.
Oh, is he Filipino?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Burns
Burton.
Filipino?
No. Burton. I'm not sure what he is, but I know he's not Filipino. No.
That's funny because but he grew up right by them, you know.
Yeah, no, but I mean, he the way he described it to me is he grew up in a very ethnic oriented, different
Yeah.
cultures, and ethnicities, and all that. But it was a Carson, and no, yeah, he has. I mean, and we could just jump into my teachers now.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
to me, Burton is one of those guys, and I'm gonna just tell you something about him is Burton will give you the range. If you're doing good stuff and doing that, not only will he encourage you and give you the reins, I mean, he'll actually make sure you're getting hurt. I mean, again, I got on Dwight Wood's show because of Burton, not because of me, and all that. So I mean, that here's the other thing about Burton too. He was a science pre-med major in college. His organizational structure, the way he can format programs, is incredible. I mean, just like how he can take a student from level to level, the congruency and no disconnect is some of the best I've seen and most organized, structured, and almost fail proof unless you just don't put the work in. Um, he is just incredible. I mean, I'm telling you, he could take a garbage can lid for the street. I mean, garbage can lid for the street, hand head, hand. I'm just like he's just that good as far as making programs. And I mean, like if you look at what he's done, like his programs. I mean, I have a lot of them. Actually, I haven't gone through all of them, of course, but I have all of them. Just I haven't chosen to get ranked in all of them. I guess is what I should say. But like they're just really just good stuff that is really functional. And Stick again, he was a dog brother. His night defense, I mean, some of that is just it's really good stuff. His Sealot, his sword, his BJJ. I mean, I've seen it. His MMA for street. I mean, again, when people understand, no, he's not saying it's mixed martial arts for street. He's not saying that you're gonna be going to UFC. No, so that's where some of the like you have to context again coming down to context. He's not saying that the street, not that you're gonna you do this program and you're gonna be able go into whatever big challenge or venue and compete. That's not the case. Before Burton, let's go in. I guess be good. We'll go in chronological order. So I kind of already alluded to Ron, my first exposure to FMA. From Ron, what I keep to this day is a concept of good triangle. And what I mean by that is shoulder, shoulder, third point, the person, the knife, the weapon.
Yeah.
The concept of good triangle. Now, where he got it from, I'm not sure, but that's something to this day that I still carry out from him. And of course,
That's even
his
shooting combat isosceles.
what's that?
That's even in shooting line sight picture combat
Yeah,
isosceles.
right. So in my first exposure, my next stop after that was Chris Smith, who I got my Anasano blend instructorship from. Chris is who I still see today, actually. Matter of fact, just last week, matter of fact. The reason why he is so, he's the one that let us spar. Like, we just said, go spar. Like, find out where you find, I mean, obviously there was direction and correction. It just wasn't free for all. But my first taste of sparring was from him and all that. So when I was with him, I caught wind of seance, and I was at, they say, hey, these guys are coming. They're doing a seminar in Long Island, and somebody said, and it's all knife and this and that. So we want to go check it out, and in the beginning, not, just a couple of years in, 3 years in or so, and still immature as far as compare and contrast and all that. I signed up, did it for a couple of years, got some good stuff out of it. But through them, my big venture was, or I really became involved with, was the Atienza brothers through Seance. And that's where I incorporated their stick program for kids. That was my first kids program back in 2002. But it was using the Atienza model, the Action Flex. Because you remember a few things happened around then. The Action Flex came out around by then, early 2000s. So they were very instrumental in my and my journey, not just from a personal point, but also from I was able to basically use their program for kids with their blessing, of course. And then after that, several knee injuries and school and stop. I mean, I didn't stop being a student. I guess I stopped like getting rank or seeking people out, and not until to Burton 2014, and then Abenir. So in the same year, I met I was trying to Marvin Mendoza, who is head of Abenir Colleagues in USA out of Chicago. Just a wonderful human being. I can't wait to see him again, but you know, have to wait till COVID gets over. But so I started with Abenir, ranked in that Connecticut rep for that. I love their system. I think Bong Abenir, I have such admiration for him. He just leads by example. He gets in there with his guys. I mean, just you know, a great leader by example. Very humble. Just a great addition to our community as far as a teacher is concerned. Then next up, Amok, Tom Sotis. I always knew about Tom. Just didn't understand him. You know what I mean? Like it was Amok. I knew that obviously it was weapon based, but I didn't know if it was FMA or it was kind of his own creation um, and all that. And luckily, how this is really kind of how we got to met actually. He advertised some years back a Bob for sale, and and I was the first one to get back to him. I'm like, yeah, it's like a buck fifty or something. At least 2 hours away. So I go up there to go get it. I'm like, man, for a buck 50, I'm gonna grab this thing. I mean, new ship, it could be it's like well over 300. So we go up there. So I'm just expecting I'm gonna give him money. I'm gonna buy this Bob, and I'm gonna be on the road. And so he goes, hey, you got a few minutes? And I'm like, sure. He goes, well, here, I want to show you, what I do and all this. So he maps out on the board his whole methodology, which is consists of triangles: no context triangle, fight triangle, practice triangle, training triangle, and the circle of functionality. And he just blew me away with his methodology, and still to this day, and been hooked ever since. And he's just incredible. I've if people have not seen, matter of fact, my first show was with him. If those who, it's well worth the watch. He is just incredible as far as that is concerned, and how he establishes context. I mean, just all that. And next was David Gould, Lameco, who I still train with. Again, this miserable situation. I sound like a broken record. Um, he was supposed to come up last year, but we had to put it on hold. So I'm hopefully going to go see him this year. But as far as attribute development, man, I'm not saying there's nobody else out there like that. I'm saying as far as my journey up to date, I've yet to see anybody teach it like he does as far as attributes development. It
I
is
mean,
just,
he was part of that backyard original group. That's why.
yeah, I know. I mean, don't, I mean,
Edgar trained every single one of them to basically be dojo breakers.
yeah, I mean,
All of them.
it's just incredible. Like um, his non-tell, his sense of like accuracy, position, reposition, heavily on recovery. None of my other teachers have ever emphasized that as much as he does, or some, well, I'll leave that up. But just, yeah, and just, changed my whole way of like looking at things. I mean, and that was really nice of Tom Sotis to give me his name and recommend and all that. And lastly, who I tremendous respect for these guys, Vico Perrine, who's KI under, a lot of time with Tony Dago, of course, a lot of time with Christopher Ricketts. Um, you know, incredible technique. Just like flawless technique. Really just somebody you aspire. to have his movements, his motion, very clean, and that. So he's helped a lot with that. Because I'm running through Burton, but I'm kind of also with those guys. And the last person I want to talk about, Brandon. Um, and also just going back to Guru
Hey
Vico.
man, there's Vico down there.
Oh, is he? Okay. Oh, yeah. Um, just like a great guy. Like when I go down there, just very the hospitality. Just like over the top. But he's real. I tell you, I have to give like how I look today in training KI, as far as my form, is so really attributed to him. Um, like I really didn't care how I looked. Like I just was kind of about like functionality of that, and he's really at like really give me that dimension and all that, and still continues to do so, of course. And I actually have seen it now, like the change and all that. So I'm starting to embrace that more, that. Because I'm seeing the importance. But before, like I just didn't care how I looked. Like I just wanted to be functional. Like I don't care if I look. Whereas now, like I'm seeing the importance of that. Why that's relevant and important, and it's kind of due to him. So a terrific person. I highly recommend anybody who's watching this. If you like want to for KI say, Vigo Green down in Dallas, Texas. Just I highly recommend him. Just great guy, reasonable, very highly respected in the KI community. To me, he's probably the best in the U.S. Um, in my opinion, honest opinion, from I see people move. I'm not saying I've seen everybody. Those who I know of in the U.S. teaching, let me phrase it that way. Those who I know are teaching in the U.S., unless I don't know them or they're very low key. Like to me, he's probably like up there the best. I think you know. Uh, yeah, form and functionality on one. Yeah, I'm trying to get that.
So we got to follow that up. We got to follow that up with one of the relevant questions that people ask is the
Yeah.
importance of training partners. One, which I guess you kind of somewhat answered already, and what's your
Mhm.
favorite training module or modality?
Okay, can I just want to I got one last person, Brandon Ricketts, Guru Brandon, and I just want people to know like about this young fella. He's like half my age or whatever, but just incredible. Like if this, and the reason why I say this, I'm just bringing about his age. I just think what he could do, like we need somebody like him in our community. Like he's young, like just innovative, and I tell you, to me, there's like three elements to a great teacher. One, their instruction, their demonstration versus their verbal explanation for you to get it. He has that. Two, he displays the art just as good as anybody. You know. Three, he really advocates sparring. So to me, he has those three things under his sanction, and that's it. And the same for Guru Vico. Um, and the reason why I want to just spend a little time talking about him is that you know he doesn't. He's really kind of low key because he's helping with his family, their restaurants, his brother, and all that. But I tell you, when he turns his direction or energy to really, I think, promoting his system with the help of Guru Vigo, look out because he's such a fresh breath of fresh air. I mean, just like the way he conducts himself, no arrogance, doesn't get involved in the politics, stays low key. He's just really about like representing his father's system, what have you. And I think the community needs somebody like him, young, inspiring, leads by example. Just somebody I have like tremendous respect for, and I just hope he when he can, with what he's got really going in his life, that makes more of a social media presence or more just a presence of him. And I think it'll happen. I think so. But that was it. I just wanted to make sure I didn't leave him out. So where are we on training partners?
Yeah, the importance of training partners and what's your favorite training module or modality?
To me, training partners are so like, and I'm going to go through the lens of functionality and not the art, and nothing, and not that the art's not all that, but I'm good. It's just going to help me further. explained why training partners are just so important. Um, to me, like if you are a functionalist or you lean towards that way or you like developing attributes, to me, training partners are essential because they're going to give you the feedback that you want. Like in other words, let's say you're doing non-telegraphic to the hand and the person's going to move their hand. Well, they can give you feedback and, hey, I saw your stick dip. I saw your shoulder lean. I mean, so to me, like that's why training partners are so critical in that regards, for isolation, sparring or attribute development, I should say, sparring isolations. The other thing too is though they have to be like-minded because I'm gonna tell you something. Like if let's just say, okay, I got these guys to train with, but if some of them are more geared towards the art and some of them are really geared towards like finding good answers, let's just say for reverse grip knife attack, so whatever coming at you, you're going to have an issue because the people that tend to like the art, whatever, are probably going to be in conflict with people that are really looking for functional direction and what really comes out under pressure and all that. So again, I guess what I'm really trying to say is you got to have like-minded people because if you don't, it's going to be you're not going to get the best that training session and all that. And it's not to say, and again, I don't want to get misconstrued here. Like, there's nothing wrong with the art. Absolutely, if that's what you like, I think that's fantastic. But I want to just exact context here. I'm talking about like I'm going through a functional lens where and all that. So I hope that doesn't offend anybody get misconstrued because that's not the objective here. Um, but then again, and then a training partner should be your worst thorn. They like some of them should like aggravate you. Like I mean, because they should really try to hold you where you can't do something, where they should try to make it miserable for you. I mean, that's their job. Like they should really try to make it miserable. Like whatever you're trying to do. I use knife because it's just a good example. Let's just say, like one guy I worked with, incredible grappler, and both of them, and on the ground, he just man, it makes him miserable because his grappling is so good. Now there's a knife in there. You know what I mean? But that's his job. Like he doesn't make it easy for me. I mean, it sucks and all that. But I know I gotten further along as opposed to have a false sense of making it easy for me. And yeah, you know what I mean? And it's kind of it's fake. You know what I mean? So I think that's really important. And a couple guys I want to just make mention of that are my John Kelly and Glenn Ryan. These are two guys that like 20 years were going, actually over 20 years, and they're grapplers and were and all that. So grapplers are just to me can be some of the best training partners. Depending on what especially if there's anything involved with clinch or grappling. And the example I just used as far as grappling with a knife, um, these guys make it miserable. But again, they're trying to help me. That might sound counterintuitive, but if they're really, if they're really trying to help you, they're going to make it difficult and challenging for you. You know, and there's a few others. Gary Bradley helps me with KI. Chris Smith helps me with KI, and all that. But yeah, accountability. Mutual accountability. Guru Vigo just said it.
We're less than an hour in. So I'm gonna do the rapid fire questions now. Is that cool?
That's fine with you because then I can go through what people sent me.
Absolutely. So
Okay, yeah, sure.
Moro Baron or Campilan?
Ooh,
Gotta be
is
quick,
that the
Dean.
corn? Oh, Capulin. I'm
Blade
sorry,
based is
sir.
stick based.
I'm sorry. What was that?
Blade based is stick based.
Oh, blade base.
Kamagong or Bahi?
I don't know. Come on.
Aluminum or rattan?
Aluminum.
Whip or belt?
Whip.
Lechon or adobo?
Double.
Flan or pastries?
Pastries.
Swimming or running?
Swimming. God, my knees. Oh my God, swimming definitely.
San Miguel or Miller?
San Miguel or Miller? San Miguel.
Lambanog whiskey.
Ugh. First one I'm not familiar with. Whiskey.
Oh man, so before you ask, the people, I gotta, man, Mama hate you for this, Mumbaki, for real. You getting me in
Oh,
trouble, man. You gotta be brave. You
for
gotta ask these
Mabaki?
questions. You gotta ask these questions yourself, man. Um, all right.
I can tell you right now, there's gonna be controversy. If they're
Oh
gonna
God.
Dean,
All right.
all right, let's hear. All right, this
Now
is
I'm
from
just
a
gonna read it. For context, right? Julius, hello, Mumbaki here. As I understand, you'll be interviewing Dean. This is I can't sound like a accent of mountain province person. This is gonna be fun. May I send a few questions to make the interview more fun? Smiley face with grin. I love to see Dean under the spotlight with these questions, so please encourage him to answer with brutal honesty. Smiley face grin.
he's not provocative or anything, is he?
If the FMA discussions will have an awards night like the Oscars and Grammy Awards, who do you think will get the following awards? The funniest interviewee.
The funniest guy interviewed,
Mm-hmm.
who's also very articulate, good show. Paulo.
Oh, okay. Who
Paulo.
was the
Yeah,
most
yeah.
Who was the most serious guest?
Most serious. Ooh, man. God, most serious. John Bernarski.
Who was
PTK,
the most
108 Hotel.
Who was the most controversial guest?
Mabaki.
ah, um,
I'm gonna throw it. You know what? I'm gonna throw it right back in his lap.
um, who's the most controversial top? What was the most controversial topic?
Oh, the term. Yeah, I would have to say maybe the term Kali. If I had to pick one,
You'll probably ask me about that back in February or whenever you interview me, because I'm the one that did the dictionary. The put the sources from the dictionaries during my post back in
be,
September.
be, be ready.
Um, um, the interview that gained the most viewers.
I think it's one or two, the first or second one. So in other words, the first one was Tom Sodas. The second one was Abenir Khalis with Bong Abenir. One of them has like close to 1,000. One of those two, I believe. I hope I'm correct.
Um, the interview that you think should have another episode.
Ooh, a few of them, and actually, it's got David Hines. He's got an old sword collection that people want to see, so he would be second. Who else? Who else? Oh, jeez, there's just so many good ones. God Almighty. Um, I'm just gonna look at. You know what? Let me look at my list here. Ones I was because somebody asked a kind of almost a similar question that we did, but second one. I thought Lysandra, the first female I had on, I think she deserves a second. I thought she really did well. Um, Mbaki's on here. Oh, jeez. Um, yeah, off the top of my head, those two. Without giving it a lot of thought.
Oh boy, you know what? I gotta prepare myself from asking this because Mobaki, bro, you want more drama than Mexico and Korea, man, with all them telenovelas and Korean K dramas, bro. Um, no, for real, this guy wants more drama than you know. Okay. Um, who are the masters that will never be invited for an interview and why? Look at your eye, bro. I can't believe you asked that, man.
Actually, I can. Um, Yeah, I mean, it's kind of what I alluded to before that rock and hard place. And Paulo said something interesting. It is my show. Yeah, yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, obviously, you know, I have the decision. everybody knows who the one person is. I mean, if you're an FMA and you know the community, or you're part of any FMA group, I mean, come on, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Unless your head is in the sand and you don't you don't watch any of the threads, or read any of the threads, or you don't talk to anybody regarding FMA politics. So obviously, there's a couple of people out there whose names are just going to be. But I am going to mention. No, no, I'm not. Yeah, then that's how I'm going to answer that.
You don't gotta mention. All I gotta say about it, I'll be your So someone make me Saint Benedictine, whatever, with the arrows and stuff. Um, I do want to be like a fly on the wall during the late '70s to maybe like mid '80s during that seminar circuit of like
Oh my God, New York,
Marinas, Dan
love it.
Inosanto, Neriotica, Leo Gahe, because I want to know how the politics went down back then. You know what I'm saying?
Rio. Oh yeah, and I know all of them. I know a lot of it, and but you can't, but you can't just start. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but it would have been fun, right? It'd be like a telenovela, man. It'd be like a K drama, man. It would have been funny. Um, yeah. So that's all for my questions, sir. So
Okay,
you know what I mean.
wonderful.
I mean,
I got
that's
something from.
mind you, that's not my questions. This is the people questions that people sent me, so it's not me.
Yeah, yeah,
So
and I got some from Elric,
calm down,
John,
people.
and there's one from Andrew. I hope I didn't miss anybody else's. Let me just take Andrew says, "What system would you like to train other than Illustration? Yeah, I would like to, if and whenever I get done with certain people, all that, I definitely would like maybe to go deeper into compo by itself, as far as FMA is concerned. Outside of FMA, I'm really fascinated with Bondo. I think that would be something I would like to examine. So one FMA, the compo, outside FMA, probably Bondo. I just want to make sure I'm not missing any. Man, I try to pay attention on the side here. I think it's great that you use it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. What's an ambush system like? Are you training against ambushes or the ambush? Yeah, it's against it, and not to ambush. No, well, not this guy anyhow. Raul. The Piper system is definitely an ambush system. It's a criminal system that came out of South Africa. The number gangs is 26 to 27 to 28s. Just not nice stuff. I'm fascinated by it just because how to defend against it, not because I want to, obviously know more ways to kill people or ambush people or teach that for any, obviously. But more or less, I'm just really intrigued how we can defend against the 2-on-1 because they do a lot of talks. And yeah, again though, criminal system. All right, I'm gonna get to my questions. All right, this is a question from John, and he asked, who were your FMA idols? Yeah, I mean, Illustrissimo. When I got Mark Wiley's book, that guy immediately captivated me. Just I don't know why it just was immediate. And Edgar. It's so ironic back then, and I'm talking like '97 when Mark Wiley came out with Filipino martial arts culture. Those two, and I'll tell you why. One, El Shismo, just reading about him, I just knew there was something special about him, even though I couldn't articulate it then and didn't understand the system at all then. I just knew I just wanted it. Edgar, because he seen at that time I was heavily into JKD, and Edgar was like the Bruce Lee of FMA. The way he took these systems, put them together, I just thought it was genius, and it so resonated with me with JKD. So those two, really, really, those those two, yeah, you know what I mean.
He was
Unfortunately,
really
were passed.
taken too soon.
Both of them, and
Ed,
ironically, they both died the same year. '97.
yeah,
You know.
Edgar was taken
Um,
too soon.
yeah, agreed, agreed.
Yeah, he
I
liked the
got
food and drink too much, man.
I just it's terrible. But and second question: most hated aspect of FMA today? Yeah, well, obviously, I could just be generic and say politics, but it's true, politics. But more so, I'm gonna go just beyond politics. The politics is kind of self-describing. But another thing is just something I not giving credit. And this is just not due to FMA, but like if you get something, not giving credit where you got it from. I have a real issue and pet peeve with that. Whether it's a technique, a concept, a tactic, I mean, whatever, just not giving credit where you got it from. Really bothers me because you never know how long that person might have worked to do that or how much time they put into it. And yeah, that really bothers me. And passive aggressive behavior, like it's funny. I tell my students here, you don't need to be a psychologist to see what goes on at Facebook. I mean, you can see right on their human behavior right here at its finest. You know, and just that passive aggressive behavior some people demonstrate against one another in our groups and all that. It's just there's just no need for it. But again, it's so easy to detect, and all that. And yeah, so yeah, I mean, as far as hated or pet peeves, not giving credit. Also, over obviously ego, but I'm gonna go a little more detail. Like my pet peeve, like there's some people, I get so many messages like during the week for the show coming on and what have you, or you know, going back and forth trying to plan a show and all that. And a couple guys will send me their whole like their whole resume. I mean, just overboard. And what's ironic is I'm not friends with them, which that's okay because I can't be friends with everybody anymore, or you might just not know them. But I go to check them out. They're not even part of the group. They just kind of heard it. They never showed any interest in watching an episode. Now, if you're not on Facebook or you're very low key, like Eric Nels is very low key. So Eric Nels wouldn't be a good example of that because he doesn't post. He's very low key and all that. But some of these people they post a lot and a lot. So it's like that kind of self-serving. That being on the lower end of the spectrum. The bigger is politics, not giving credit, passive aggressive. This would be the lowest of that, but just something, you know, since he asked. Okay. Next, these are from Elric. Elric. All right. So Elric is asking opinions that shifted from now. What opinions have shifted from your first start in FMA till now? Hmm. Just overall, like embracement of of systems. Like before, I was kind of narrow-minded in the beginning, just not being exposed to a different system. So now, my compare and contrast is, I think is more enlightened. You know, um, what else? Seeing the negativity, and like in the beginning, I thought like it was a wonderful, happy place, FMA, until I got into Seac Atienz's and the whole thing with PTK, and I got my first dose of reality. You know what I mean? Like what this community can be like. You know. So now, so not just knowing that this unfortunately is part of our community, not being really surprised by it, knowing it's there. Um, there. What else? What do you enjoy the
Yeah,
most
but
about
Dean, that's part of being human, though. There's
Yeah, yeah,
no.
it is. Yeah, absolutely. His we can this kind of ties in. Which FMA system do you enjoy? Um, huh, that's probably Paulo. That's a great question. I'm just trying to think of people to cope with. My training partners probably doing knife. You know, when this ends though, I hope that get together more people. That's another thing too with this whole miserable mess. Like I've met so many people through these interviews and all that. That I hope to meet actually in person one day. But again, Elric, and I'm going to definitely get to some of these questions I haven't seen on here. But okay, knowing what you know now, what would you have done differently as far as your path? This is a great question. because this is something like I wrestled with, like, oh man, did I waste all that time, money, and when I could have done this, I could have done that, and just I could have, would have, should have. And I'm going to tell you, looking back now, because I'm doing these, I wouldn't change the thing. Even though I left systems on good terms, I don't have, nothing. I never had fallen outs with people. I still wouldn't change a thing because it really gave me like just an overall comprehension of what people do, systems do differently. Got to meet different people. It gives me a good when I'm doing these interviews. It's been very instrumental in these interviewing people, because I know you kind of get to tell if they're legit or what if their background's legit based on the names they say or the time frames they're pointing out to and all that. So not a thing. But I tell you, early in my I kind of wish I did change things, but now looking back, nothing. All right, number 4. What advice would you give for new folks at FMA? Oh, this is okay. You are the most important piece of the journey. Like just take it from somebody who's going through this. You get these bigger systems, and you're kind of like a number coming down the assembly line because you're all doing the same thing and all that. And it's kind of how you and all that. But just I would find a system that really, is totally vested in you and your journey, and not just anything else but that. Because in my opinion, the system or the teacher are not more important than you. Your journey, and that doesn't mean to be disrespectful. It just means that you have to advocate for yourself and what you want and your journey. Um, like if you're at a seminar, and you don't know for sure it's not all that. I mean, test stuff out. Like, obviously don't question, be disrespectful, testing the person right there on the spot, but take it home and all that. Because I bring this example up is because I was one of those guys in the beginning in some of these systems. I didn't question things. I found out when I brought them back to those 2 training partners that I alluded to, and I saw somehow those things just failed so miserably. You know what I mean? But question like politely, and you know what I mean? Like, there's a way, but again, you are the most important piece. I see like some of these systems where they get so indoctrinated and cult like that the system is bigger, and it's just no. You are the most important piece. All right. How did your interviews change some of your? Oh, that's a good one. Good with Tom Payne. Um, you know, more open-minded to like other systems and what they do and all that. Because if I had to do all these interviews and all that, I probably would have still been in my box of like, I gotta get KI one day. I have to get KI one day, and make all that. We're doing these interviews, like you get to see what other people are about, and you get to see that we actually have more in common than differences, and that. So more open to seeing things, you know, being more vested into hearing from other people, um, even the cross train with them, even though maybe that's not a system I would actually pursue from beginning to end. Is that's really what's changed, my perspective on that, that what comes to mind right now. Who is the most underrated but super awesome FMA instructor? Underrated. He's not well known because he's not on social media. And then to me, David Gould, man. That guy to me is just, yeah, I don't know what else I can say about him. As far as attribute development, that guy is just amazing, amazing, amazing. I mean, he's known, but on social media, he doesn't post. He's kind of really low key. There is some YouTube video. There's some YouTube videos, like maybe like 6 of them about on him. They're some 10 years old, and he's refined since then. I would have to say him, and underrated, and that's probably I would say underrated slash not as known, but that. But to me, yeah, uh, super, super. Um, and Vico Perine on here. Guru Vico Perine. Also, he's somebody that just kind of like he'll put like a couple. He's done a couple in the last month, showcases stuff in the parks, and again, just flawless form. Something I try to emulate. um, but yeah, I would say Vico Perine. I mean, known in the KI community, but not really known. I don't think outside the KI community. You know what I mean? But really, yeah, I think underrated. You know, so I want to make sure I'm not missing any questions. All right, so we got back to Elric's number 5. Training goals for the future. Basically to be always the best version of myself. Like I'm not in contests with anybody. I just want, to be the best version of myself so I can be the best version to my students and be a good example to my instructors, you know, um, continue, as far as the training goes, always to, investigate new things, refine, my current, attributes, always looking to improve, refine on those. Something incidentally I've gotten received from, Guru David Gould. That would be as far as that. I'm just want and okay, this is a kind of a fun question from uh, 20 memorable moments as far as the interviews go. This so Paulo Grandmaster Pogi. I mean that's up there. Who else? Roger Agulis, just when he was talking about the attributes, I thought that was really, like maybe that stood out to me. You know what I mean? Tom Sodas talking about methodology and all that. Burton's first episode, which was I forget what episode, really in the beginning, was a really good one. Lysandra, the first female, that was good. Professor Dracano in the history, the forefathers, that was up there. David Hines, a guy I didn't even know about, and killed it in an interview. I mean, killed it. Um, Going Avenir, and then I did AK USA about all the reps in US, all three of us, or four of us rather. Um, Jay and Greg, Sonny Umpah's reps there. Like those guys, man, they put on a show. Um, the three I had Guru, Jeff, Guru, Vico, and Brandon. That was the first time I had three people on. That was neat, memorable. The father and son, Bruce and Chris Chu. That was memorable. Father and son. That was kind of neat. Had Doug, colleague Doug. He does the Six podcast, so it's kind of neat to bounce each other with what we're doing. Carlos brothers, because they're brothers. That was neat to have them on. And Ray Galong, man, Ray Galong, to me has the quote of the century. On his interview, and basically, and I think it went something to the effect of learn the fundamentals, practice the fundamentals, experience the fundamentals. Just like blew it away with that quote. Everybody was just, so those were like some of the most memorable, Tom Pena, going over his, I really appreciated how he deals with knife, like just not,
Can I pause you for a second? How often was it? Two interviews that you had Ray here, or just one?
who's that?
Ray Galan. Did you have him here twice?
Oh, part one and part two, but part one, man, he dropped that quote and people were just like, yeah. So, um, again, like Tom Pena, the way he handles knife, like I appreciate anybody that really deals with knife like that. You know what I mean? You're a fan of Mike, Michael. And, Yuli Romo, there's just something endearing about him. I have to admit. I don't know. There's just something, really endearing about him, you know. Um, so he was fun, Yuli. Steve Grody about his program. I'm telling you, man, Steve Grody, one of the best kept secrets. There's somebody that's underrated. Steve Grody. Paulo. That would be my third answer. Um, and here, you know what I want to do though? I want to give. There's some people that watch this show, like who've been really jump on when they can. Obviously, not everybody can watch it all the time, and that's obviously an unrealistic expectation. But I just want to give thanks to these people that really have have done this, and um, and then I want to mention GM Renee and his fundraiser. Obviously, you've been supportive, Julius. I mean, Jeremy, Carl, Jeff Cruz, Agua Vico, Brian Rodriguez, man, like superstar. I was, Tom Pena, Chad Bailey, just Paolo as of late. Thank you, Richard Packman, Jesse, James Irwin, Paul, Alvin, usually Jack, John Rister, just sometimes GM Dan Medina's late, Jamir, Terry Joven, John Kruspis, my AMF brother, a lot, Jeremy. I mean, a lot of these guys, just and I can't just tell you how much I appreciate that. When I get the show going, man, and you see those familiar faces, a lot of times I just want to like, but you got the guest on and all that, and so I'm trying to deal with the guest, but at the same time acknowledge, who's watching, Guru comes on too, just I can't just tell you how much that means to me, you know, uh, Pharma, if she, comes on, just, but yeah, just really, really, means a lot to me. It really, really does and all that. So, thank you all just immensely for your support. Bruce, another one as of late, and I get it. You can't always come on. You got stuff to do. Audie, just, but yeah, just Andres, there's a name too, man. He's always watches and comes on, you know, um, and I just really, just really, really appreciate it. Zimbo, he's been on before. Yeah, I mean, it just that really, really, I can't express enough in words. What that means to me, because without support, man, it's kind of tough to keep something going. You know what I mean? Like, so they've just been just all those guys I mentioned, just wonderful, wonderful.
Dean, if we're right around closing time, can I offer shout outs of my own?
Oh, please do, please.
Um, it's been great meeting a lot of you during the past like 8 months in the FMA community. I've been a supporter of your show since like the first few episodes, so I've been watching you since like
No, you've
2019.
been right from the get go. You,
Right,
Richard Packman, Brian. No, no, I believe you, man. I
right.
know, I know.
But in particular, GM Renee Thompson. Thank you. The
Yeah,
conversations I have,
fundraiser.
yes, the conversations I have with Elric and Paulo, and I have narcolepsy. Hi, you know, we're from kind of from the same place. I don't want to mention his name but in particular for FMA, I have to thank the three places that taught me the blade, which is Malolos Bulacan, which is a legacy of Placido Yambao. Santo Tomas Batangas, which pretty much the culture of FMA is pretty much dead. It used to be a hotbed of Espada, Daga, and Balisong, and no one keeps the old ways anymore. It's gone. It died within 2 generations in both of those places. And then Eskrima that I learned from the different clans in the town of Luciana, Laguna. I can't mention them here because I'm not allowed to. But yeah, shout out to them and thank you. Without them, my personal journey in FMA would not exist. And I guess the final person, and we all miss him, even though he died when I was like 12, 13, is Edgar. He was a key outside of the dance and the Presas brothers, and kind of the nationalistic movement that was happening in the Philippines at the time. The Stockton people, the Hawaii guys. Um, Mad shout out to Edgar Salida and Felisa, his wife and kids, and we all still people still miss him. He was a good guy. Everyone liked him. Nobody hated him.
Way too early, huh? Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
it's painful
if,
still
if those are watching, I
talking
just
about it.
I know it's terrible. terrible. I want to mention GM Renee is doing this fundraiser. I just think it's fantastic. One of the things I really try to push is getting our youth involved. If you guys have watched my interviews, you've heard me mention this before. Without the youth, I think some of these systems are going to die out. You know what I mean? Dean Larson, man, here's another guy who's always come, um, so what GM Renee is doing is he's taking donations to buy the kids gear over there and stuff. Anything is helpful. I just think it's a great thing. I think it should get started over there, and hopefully from there the model will travel out, and it should start over there. I'm glad it is, and but they're really doing a lot for these kids. Also, they do some really good stuff for older masters that get sick and all that. They really do some wonderful, wonderful things. But this donation, like I just mentioned, I'll post a link here. But really getting the kids gear and all that, and they got quite a big group going. He messaged me, and it's just a fantastic cause. I've said this a lot. Without getting our kids involved, particularly over here, man. I think it's gonna be tough to keep some of these systems going. And Paulo actually is behind this too. And it actually, oh, thank you, Paulo. Actually, if those who are are interested, Paulo has the information. Thank you for that. But a great cause, really. Again, anything you can donate. It's helpful. It's buying the kids gear. So I just think it's something really terrific what they're doing. And and I gotta thank you. I really, and Brian Rodriguez has also been very instrumental in this. Actually, told me about it. I gotta thank you. I appreciate you so much for doing this. This is fantastic.
You can interview me whenever you want. I'll
No,
make time for
February.
you.
February. Are you gonna be bringing? Is there gonna be like a bunch of Wu Tang stuff in the background, or what's?
No, man. I just do that to not have people take me seriously.
No, I know, but it'd be kind of neat in
You
the
cut out?
background. There's a big like you got a big Wu Tang thing back there, like break your neck or
Protect your neck. Protect your neck. Nah. Maybe I like photos of like Freddie Roach and the Wild Card Gym and some of those
Nice.
training. Yeah, the
Oh
early era
wow.
of No Limits. Remember? Do you know that MMA gym, No Limits gym? During the the early Quinn and Rampage Jackson days of Pride. I don't know if you remember that.
I definitely remember Jackson Days of Pride.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
maybe I could have some of those, posted over here.
Oh
It's like
yeah.
the early 2000s, late 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The golden age of MMA. But yeah, but I just again, I really appreciate you doing this. Obviously, you could have done other things that taking time out of your day to interview me. So
Dean,
I really appreciate it.
we gotta cross swords one of these days, man. Once this is all done.
I know, I know. There's so many people. I tell you, one of the things from these, like again, like what I alluded to, and like I had no idea where this is going to go. Like I didn't know, like I would actually meet people that would really want to meet in person, and like have these interviews. This is how I met Guru Vico. Like if I didn't do these interviews, I don't know if I would ever met him or trained with him. Or
Yeah, we should roll too, man. We should roll because you do your BJJ, I do my sambo and my catches can.
yeah, definitely. You know, I have to definitely do that. Yeah, that would be fun. That would be wonderful. Yeah, I know. There's like I know that's the thing. There's so many people like I want to meet, and but right now with this
We
status quo,
basically live in a Stephen King movie, man.
I know. It's got to end though, man. How much longer can we go? I just,
I'm so stir crazy because it's like I used to be like an anime character running like ultras and stuff. Like you see, you're like an RPG character leveling up, seeing like beautiful scenery, and that you can't do that.
I know. I know. I know. This needs to end. It just needs to. I'm just hoping. I don't know what. Late spring,
We're at
summer.
90 minutes now, so it's
It's been
all
great.
up on you when you want to call it, sir.
Yeah, yeah, no, no, no. This is great. Again, I want to thank you. I want to thank. Oh, so thank you everybody who submitted questions, even Mambaki. It's,
Dude, I'm telling you, man, I got an automatic death sentence on the street now.
I know,
Mumbaki, you
huh?
getting me in trouble, man. You like more drama than Koreans and Mexicans, man.
I know.
God damn.
So, hey, you know what? I answered all of them but that one, so didn't do bad. So, hey, folks, those of you, I am leaving for Florida this weekend, and it will be gone to the 6th, I believe, which is a first weekend. I'm coming back, so I'm gonna reveal the February's guest list pretty soon, and um, and I'm gonna try to do some interviews when I'm down there. Like I'm gonna try Chad Bailey, Chris Chu, Bruce, Brom, Frank, and all that. I'm gonna try to, and where else, wants to be interviewed down there. I'm, you know, pretty much gonna be down there. So I figure I would try to get a few in. So if you know people down there or you're in Florida, let me know. I'll be in Miami, and I'm going to, you know, going up to Orlando. Uh, one day and all that. But again, hopefully, those people I mentioned, I'm going to see, and whoever else is down there for that matter. But the February's list, yeah, I'm going to. So that'll be sooner than normally, and all that. But again, I want to thank all those who submitted questions. Thank you. Thank you for the comments and all that. Hopefully I keep this going for all of us, and as long as the audience is there and the enthusiasm there and support's there, and keep going. So, all right, man. I want to thank you so much, Julius. We got to stay in
Take care.
touch.
No, no, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Don't be a stranger anymore, though.
No.